They walked down that Beverly Hills Boulevard more than 30 years ago, and somehow they never left our hearts. When Julia Roberts smiled that famous smile and Richard Gere slammed the jewelry box shut, a generation fell in love. Pretty Woman wasn't just a movie, it became a symbol. A symbol of love crossing boundaries, of second chances, and of dreams coming true in the most unlikely ways. Now, decades later, the fairy tale is back. And before we talk about the sequel, we must remember why the original meant so much to millions. Released in 1990, Pretty Woman told the story of a wealthy businessman, Edward Lewis, who meets a Hollywood Boulevard sex worker, Vivian Ward. What begins as a business arrangement quickly turns into something deeper. The charm of the film was in how it didn't force the fairy tale, it allowed it to grow naturally. Vivian was funny, bold, and full of life. Edward was cold, guarded, and lost. Together, they didn't just fall in love, they saved each other. And that's what made it so powerful. The world hadn't seen a film quite like it. Vivian wasn't just a damsel in distress. She was confident, outspoken, and refused to let anyone define her worth. Julia Roberts brought her to life in a way that felt real and electric. Richard Gere, playing the serious and distant Edward, slowly revealed a softness underneath. Their chemistry was undeniable. Every glance, every silence, every joke between them felt like magic. It wasn't just acting. It felt like destiny playing out on screen. The success of Pretty Woman wasn't just about the romance. It was about the idea that love can come from anywhere, that people from two different worlds can connect if they open their hearts. The film became a cultural moment. It broke box office records, turned Julia Roberts into a global superstar, and gave the world scenes and lines that are still quoted today. Who doesn't remember? Big mistake. Big, huge. Or the moment Vivian walks into the luxury boutique with confidence in her eyes. For many fans, the film wasn't just entertainment, it was personal. People saw themselves in Vivian's struggle for respect, in Edward's fear of vulnerability, in their shared desire to escape loneliness. The film didn't need explosions or car chases. It used simple emotions, honest performances, and unforgettable music to build something timeless. Even the theme song, "Oh, Pretty Woman," became an anthem for dreamers and believers. Decades have passed, but the legacy has stayed strong. Whenever fans talk about the greatest romantic films of all time, Pretty Woman is always at the top. It has inspired other stories, fashion trends, and even Broadway shows. It proved that a movie doesn't need to be perfect to be unforgettable, it just needs heart. And this one had plenty of it. That's why the news of Pretty Woman 2 feels so important, because it's not just about revisiting a film. It's about reconnecting with characters who taught us to believe in love again. And now, seeing Julia and Richard together once more, we are reminded of what made us fall in love with them in the first place. The laughter, the growth, the romance, it's all coming back. The question now isn't just what happens next in the story. The question is, can lightning strike twice? Will the sequel capture that same feeling of magic that made the original so unforgettable? One thing is certain, fans across the world are ready to find out. Because no matter how much time passes, some love stories never fade. They only grow stronger. It started with whispers. And then came a photo. A single photo that sent the internet into a frenzy. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere standing side by side again, dressed elegantly, smiling like no time had passed at all. For fans who grew up watching their love bloom in Pretty Woman, it was like stepping into a dream, but this time the dream is real. Pretty Woman 2 is happening, and the world is finally getting answers to questions that have lived in our hearts for over 30 years. For years, people asked, did Edward and Vivian really get their happy ending? Did he climb the fire escape with the flowers, and then what? Did they stay together? Did they drift apart? Hollywood rarely returns to fairy tales with this much weight, but now, the sequel promises not just closure but a new beginning. From early reports, the film is being developed as a continuation, not a reboot. Julia Roberts is back as Vivian, now older, wiser, and perhaps more powerful than we ever imagined. Richard Gere returns as Edward, no longer the cold businessman, but a man shaped by decades of life with the woman who changed him. This isn't a rehash of their old spark. It's a deeper exploration of love that survived the test of time. The director's chair, of course, won't be filled by Gary Marshall, who passed away in 2016, but sources say his legacy is being honored with care and heart. The screenplay is rumored to have been shaped by people who knew Gary's vision intimately, with Julia and Richard both giving creative input. In fact, insiders have hinted that Julia was deeply involved in ensuring Vivian's story evolved with dignity, strength, and emotional depth. And what about the plot? While the studio remains tight-lipped, leaks suggest the film will follow Vivian and Edward years after their fairy tale ending. Vivian may now be leading a foundation to help women in need, a nod to her past but also her growth. Edward is said to be stepping away from his empire, rethinking his legacy and priorities. Their relationship, though full of love, might face new tests. Life after the fairy tale is rarely simple. There's also talk of a younger couple in the story, perhaps a reflection of who Vivian and Edward once were. Whether they become mentors or face a mirrored version of their past is still unclear. But one thing is sure, the sequel is designed not just to entertain but to speak to both old fans and a new generation of viewers. This isn't just a reunion. It's a story about growth, time, and how love changes but never really fades. Behind-the-scenes photos have shown Julia and Richard filming in elegant settings, including high-end hotels, a familiar-looking penthouse suite, and even scenes at charity events. Some sharp-eyed fans even noticed a modern version of the iconic red gown Vivian wore in the opera scene. Is it a flashback, a tribute, or something more symbolic? The mood of the sequel appears to be more mature, more emotional, yet still filled with the lighthearted charm that made the original so iconic. The humor, the tension, the soft moments in between, they're all there, but now they carry more meaning. Because this time, Vivian and Edward are not strangers meeting for the first time. They're two souls looking back at what they built, wondering what comes next. In a world filled with fast sequels and hollow reboots, Pretty Woman 2 is aiming to do something rare. It wants to honor the past while telling a story that feels honest for today. And if the first glimpses are any indication, this might just be the return Hollywood didn't know it needed, but audiences have been waiting for. The moment the first behind-the-scenes shots hit the internet, it was as if time had bent. Julia Roberts stood under soft lights in a crimson gown that echoed the past, but with a bold, modern twist. Richard Gere adjusted his tie beside her, the same quiet strength in his eyes. The cameras rolled, the crew hushed, and for a split second, it felt like 1990 again. But this wasn't just nostalgia. This was a rebirth of a story that shaped generations, from exclusive set leaks to quiet whispers on studio lots. The production of Pretty Woman 2 has been wrapped in both secrecy and reverence. Every detail from the costume design to the filming. Locations has been curated to reflect both continuity and change. It's not just about bringing back Edward and Vivian. It's about reintroducing them in a way that feels earned. The streets of Beverly Hills are once again alive with their story. But this time, it's written in the lines on their faces and the depth in their eyes. One source close to the production revealed that the first week of filming was emotional beyond words. Julia reportedly teared up during a take that mirrors the original movie's ending. Only this time, she's not standing on a street corner looking up. She's standing at the top, looking down, in control, empowered. The visual alone tells us this film is not here to repeat the past, but to flip it on its head. Costume designers have leaned heavily into symbolism. Vivian's wardrobe no longer screams transformation, it reflects mastery. Tailored coats, elegant silk gowns, and subtle nods to her past outfits hint at a woman who didn't just find love, but also found herself. Edward, now silver-haired and poised, is often dressed in soft grays and deep navy suits, reflecting wisdom and restraint. He's not the aggressive deal-closer anymore. He's a man thinking about what truly matters. The set itself tells a story. The famed penthouse has been redesigned with warmth plants by the windows, books on the shelves, photos tucked into frames. There's life in it now, not just wealth. A scene shot in a restored opera house, possibly a callback to their first. Day shows them watching a performance, not with awe, but with deep, knowing smiles. They've lived through the drama. Now they appreciate its beauty. Cinematographers have also shifted tone. The glossy, dreamy filters of the original are being replaced by richer, warmer tones that feel intimate and human. We're no longer watching a fairy tale. We're living inside a love story that has scars, memories, and meaning. The camera lingers longer, the silences speak louder, and the pacing invites the audience to breathe in every moment. Even the music is getting an update. The classic, Oh, Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison returns, but this time, it's slowed down in parts, woven through orchestral themes that match the sequel's mature rhythm. Rumors suggest a few new original tracks will be added, songs that highlight themes of rediscovery, aging with grace, and learning how to love. Again, one of the most buzzed-about scenes so far, a rooftop dinner under twinkling lights. Vivian and Edward, older but not colder, talk quietly about the life they built and the chances they missed. It's said to be one of the most emotional sequences in the film. No drama, no shouting. Just two people, finally saying everything that once went unsaid. Cast and crew alike have spoken about the atmosphere on set. It feels sacred, one grip reportedly said. Like everyone knows, they're not just making a movie. They're giving a gift back to fans. Julia and Richard, though seasoned veterans, reportedly share real moments of laughter between takes. The kind that only comes from knowing you've made something truly rare twice. There are also hints of surprises. Cameo appearances from original cast members. A scene filmed outside the iconic boutique where Vivian once got rejected. The production is keeping these cards close, but insiders suggest longtime fans will be rewarded with small, emotional callbacks scattered throughout the film. In short, this isn't just a movie being filmed. It's a moment being crafted. A moment that honors a legacy while stepping boldly into a new chapter. And if these behind-the-scenes glimpses are any sign, Pretty Woman 2 is shaping up to be more than a sequel. It's becoming a celebration of everything that made us believe in love, the first time, and everything we've learned about it since. It didn't take long. The moment the first image from Pretty Woman 2 was released, Julia in a sleek red dress, Richard in a sharp tailored suit, standing under soft lights, the internet cracked open like a bottle of vintage champagne. Emotion poured in from every corner of the world, and suddenly timelines were flooded with memories, hope, and a single question: can love really return after all these years? Fans didn't just react, they exploded. On X, formerly Twitter, one user wrote, "I'm crying. At my desk, Pretty Woman 2 is real and my heart isn't ready." Another posted a side-by-side of Julia now and from 1990 with the caption, "Then, now, forever iconic." The hashtag Pretty Woman 2 trended for 3 straight days, beating out superhero trailers and global headlines. That's not nostalgia, that's a cultural wave crashing back with full force. YouTube lit up with reaction videos. People young and old posted emotional responses to the teaser. Some Gen Z creators admitted they had never seen the original, but after watching the trailer, they rushed to stream it, instantly falling in love. One viral video showed a woman in her 50s watching the new footage and whispering, "They came back for us." It hit millions of views in hours. Because for many, Pretty Woman wasn't just a movie. It was a memory stitched into the fabric of their youth. Instagram became a tribute wall. Artists shared digital paintings of Edward and Vivian, aged with grace but eyes still glowing. Cosplayers recreated the iconic red opera gown and black dinner suit. Couples shared photos of themselves reenacting the classic fire escape moment, writing captions like, "Still waiting for my Edward," or "She's still my Vivian 25 years later." Even celebrities couldn't help themselves. Reese Witherspoon posted a story with a clip of the trailer, captioned, "Yes, this is what I've been waiting for." Sarah Jessica Parker wrote, "Some love stories deserve a second act." And perhaps most surprisingly, younger stars like Zendaya and Florence Pugh chimed in, calling it timeless and pure gold. Hollywood was watching, and it was clapping, but the buzz wasn't just emotional. It was analytical. Film blogs, entertainment analysts, and critics started diving into what Pretty Woman 2 could mean for the industry. In a world flooded with reboots and reimaginings, this film doesn't just promise more of the same, it dares to continue a legacy with dignity. People praised the studio's decision to age the characters honestly, rather than casting younger actors in a reimagined version. One article put it perfectly: Hollywood usually fears aging. Pretty Woman 2 embraces it, and that's what makes it powerful. Even fan fiction sites saw a sudden spike. Writers who had imagined their own sequels for years now compared them. With the official continuation, Reddit threads filled with speculation. Will they have children? Did Vivian start a charity? Will the hotel manager return for a cameo? The community wasn't just watching, they were building, imagining, owning the story all over again. Still, not everyone was purely joyful. Some fans expressed fear. What if the sequel doesn't live up to the original? What if it changes too much? What if it breaks the magic? But even these concerns were rooted in love. No one wants this to fail because it means too much, and most reactions ended the same way. Still watching. Still hoping. In the end, the buzz isn't just about excitement. It's about connection. It's about mothers telling daughters, this was our story. About longtime fans realizing they're not alone in what this movie meant to them. And about a new generation discovering that love stories don't have to be loud or perfect. They just have to be real. As the release date draws closer, the noise isn't dying down, it's growing. Louder, deeper, and more emotional. Because for once, a sequel isn't just about continuing a franchise. It's about reopening a chapter of our lives we thought was finished and learning that maybe, just maybe, the story wasn't over at all.